Welcome to Junk Journal Mayhem at Studioloo.
It's day 25, and here we are with something you have too much of. I could have used many things, but I've decided to tackle a big lump o fabric, specifically cut into garment fabrics. I've made something with some part of this, and it's just now we have the leftovers, okay? So what I would like to do, there's 1,000,001 things you can do with fabrics like this, and never throw them away, make journal covers, etc. But I would actually like to make ephemera. I am really feeling the ephemera vibe with this challenge. And the other thing I have too much of is like weird paper that I'm not going to use for something, like that I got in some kind of a thrift haul, like it was part of some other thing. So what I'm going to do is basically I think I want to make tags today, and I'm going to make them with paper and fabric. So the first thing I'll use will be the cover of this paper pad. And let me just pull this whole big bulk off of here, and we'll start with like one piece at a time, kind of. So what I'll probably do is just show you a couple of them, and then I'll more than likely cut all this fabric into flat usable parts, and then sort of show you what that looks like. And then I'll probably do this in like a few stages, right? Just because I don't want to like eat up all of your time here watching me deal with all this fabric. So first things first is like just cutting fabrics down to usable bits. So this is a quilted piece, like it's been stitched on. So I'm going to keep that as like a little add-on on top of something. This too is quilted. So I probably won't use this piece for a whole tag. I'll probably just use like little parts of it. Or, yeah, probably to about here. If it's stitched. Oh, and this one isn't, so we've got that whole piece. That can go. And is this stitched on? I think it's not. After this pink line, I think it is separate. So we'll just clip off the rib here. This is from a vintage pillow. There we go. So let's get rid of all the bits we're not going to use. And then the plan for me, set these bits aside because I'll use them in something else. And then this will be like the first piece that I use to make ephemera, to make a tag. So typically what I do when I create these kind of tags, I'm looking at it from the perspective of it being like a background, right? But some fabrics are just decorative enough and lovely enough that they can stand alone. And this one, I think, is one of those. It can certainly stand alone and doesn't really need a focal point. On its own, it's a focal point because of all these beautiful flowers. So then what I do once I've glued it on here, we'll just cut it out. Just even the bottom out here. Okay. Then I just kind of give it a smooth over. And then we can clip it into a tag, which I will then stitch around. Okay, so that's tag one to be stitched around. And I'm going to do this like kind of a mass make. So that's used up that. Now this was a skirt. So it's got a lot of flat fabric. Now, things like this, I hate to throw them away. So what I do instead is I cut them into these kind of shapes. Something I can use for a tab, either a tag topper or a journal tag tab, and like I just sort of work with it like that. I often will clip any kind of this like seaming where it's like ruching or bunching of the fabric, just to kind of help me deal with the fabric a little easier, because like it's hard to take something that's 3 plies, right? And attach that to anything and it not be super bulky. But once you cut the seam apart, now you've got these 3 pieces, right? So these are like small usable type things. So that's how I plan to go through these. It's just creating like tab size pieces, and I put them in my scraps beside my sewing machine. And I grab from there to finish off a lot of my ephemera. Like if you watch my Tuesday 10 videos, you'll see, you know, I make paper ephemera. Then usually at the end of the video, I'll go over and say, I'm going to stitch all this. And so I come back and everything has been stitched around and it has some lovely accoutrement at the top. Well, that all comes out of my scraps of these lovely fabrics. So, you know, I have really changed the way that I buy clothing nowadays. First of all, I buy a lot less clothing than I used to. That definitely sort of became even more of a thing at 2 kind of events. One, when COVID started and I just wasn't going in the office anymore, and I wasn't going to a lot of like things that required me to have a lot of fancy clothes, mainly work though. Like I'm working from home, so I don't need to be buying business clothes or, you know, whatever. But also the other thing I've tried to do in the last few years, the other event I was going to say is having kids. I find I spend my clothing money on my kids rather than on myself these days. And also I've been a clothes horse for a large part of my life and a serial thrifter. I've always been into vintage clothing, so I have a lot. I live in sundresses most of my life. I honestly feel like I have a pants allergy. I hate wearing pants most of the time. I would prefer to wear a dress. So I'm usually wearing a dress. If I'm not, it's because like I didn't shave my legs or something. Let's be honest. But yeah, or some other reason, but usually that's the only one. So I can say I've got a pretty good leg shaving track record because I like wearing dresses all the time. Not that you have to shave your legs. You definitely don't. So that being said, I have a lot of clothes already. I've, you know, got a closet that I really need to be a little more exacting with to get rid of stuff eventually. But I have decided in the last few years that I don't like wearing anything synthetic. I am, you know, trying to just wear through anything synthetic I have. But yeah, I'm not going to buy any more synthetic things. I will only wear natural fibers because I find synthetics hot, first of all, but they're also they're wicked for the environment, but like they're just hot and sticky. I really feel for, you know, our ladies of like the eras of, you know, the 1950s through I'd say 90s, to be honest, like all through those generations, like we had, and I'm no exception, but like I think about my grandmother, you know, and her clothing, like so many polyester dresses, and like they're so thick and so hot, and like I see them from time to time in just utterly gorgeous patterns, especially like the 1960s and 70s, like psychedelic florals and just beautiful, you know, but I can't stand wearing them. I have so many cute like outfits, jumpers, like those little vintage like 60s shorts kind of skirts outfits where they had the little slit in one side. I've got all those cute little outfits, and every now and then I'll put one on, and then by, you know, the warmth of the day, I'm like, okay, kill me now, I need to get out of this thing. It's like when you got to wear heels somewhere and you're like, okay, when are we out of here? I need to take these bloody shoes off. Okay, so these are bigger chunks of fabric we can actually make into tags. So all my littles I'm going to put over off to the side here because they've done their job. They can go in my bag that feeds my sewing machine. Then instead of cutting the fabric to the size of this, what I'll do now is just cut with this. We'll cut this into tag shapes, okay? So let me get rid of this bit that has the circle for sure. Get rid of that, and then we'll get rid of the bit that I cut all wacky. And then decide how I want to do this. I think we'll go to about here. And then 1, 2, 3, 5, and then 2 bigger ones. Okay. So now what I'll do is just kind of go through the fabrics and match them up with a fitting piece of paper. Glue the ugly side of the paper. Okay. And then just kind of flip it over if there's any kind of creases or you want to get a certain piece of the fabric on there. You can do that. And then just trim right around it. And if you want to leave a little excess around the edge, you can. It actually makes it easier because then you can easily stitch it on and not accidentally like have too little fabric around the edge and you find that you don't have a spot that's covered because it wasn't sticky on the edge. Like say, you know, this didn't get stuck down properly, it could curl up like that, right? So what I recommend though is on one end, we'll use the end that I cut kind of close. Just cut it close on one end so that you can do your tag at the top, especially if like me, you like to use your corners to guide both sides of the tag so you get that same sized piece of paper nipped off. So then you're left with this, right? And then just take that on over to the sewing machine and give it a stitch and you'll have a fabric covered tag. So why don't I go through these, all these garments that I have, cut them down like I just showed you, and then I'll come back and show you what that looks like, how many that makes, and then we'll just kind of go through each step together. Okay, I will be back. Okay, so I processed the fabric in a couple of different ways. I took all the little gold, pretty little buttons off of the different things that I was cutting up. Then I cut all of the seams and things out of these fabrics. So now I just have these nice, like workable, flat pieces, right? So I don't have to struggle to use them. They will also be able to be put away much neater than before because they're no longer, you know, an article of clothing. They're just nice flat little bits of fabric that I can fold up neatly and tuck into my basket. So that will make it a whole lot easier. As much as I would have loved to process all this fabric today, I think it will take forever. And this is a daily video series, my friends. So I'm not going to torture myself, but I did actually do quite a few of them. So I'll show you. Basically, the next step is pretty self-explanatory. I stitched around, you know, to stitch it to the tag. So then you just go in and you cut the excess. Now, the thing about this, you don't have to cut all the fabric off of the tag. If you would like to leave a little bit at the top or on the side or, you know, on the bottom to have like decoration, you can. Like this could look kind of cute with this little flappy bit here at the bottom, right? Or, you know, if you were going to glue this down, like although it's a tag, it could be a tuck spot. You could leave more fabric here or over here to like hang out of the book. However you like, right? So I'm going to trim this one down though, just because. So we'll work with one of these in this background. So it's kind of like you've created bases that are like an instant background, right? And I love this starry one. It's so pretty. This was a cute little like designer shirt that I got my daughter. It's from a French company and I can't remember the name right now because it's my brain. But I got it in old Quebec City when we were wandering about. So there's that one. And then maybe we'll go with this orange. And I'll show you the other ones, like just the fabrics, in just a second. I'll just trim this one down. So we'll make like 3 pieces today. And again, all these little cut off scraps are going in my reuse bin. So then all the threads are cut. Okay, we're good. So here's a look at, oh, also there's this one that was already finished. So this one is actually done completely. I'm not going to even put anything on top of it. Okay. Just trim these threads. Okay, so yeah, so I've got a whole ton of base tags here, like just all sorts of lovely bases. So I'll trim those on my own time. I'll cut those down and then I'll probably work on them. I've got another project brewing in the background that I'll probably incorporate those into. So let's set this one aside, and I did grab a couple things in the vein of like, you have too much of this. So one is little bits of ephemera, either that I've made or that I've bought. I have so many of these books like that I made from these old encyclopedias, and I fill them with bits and bobs. So I figured we could use those as like backgrounds for whatever the focal points will be. Okay, so let me I grabbed a few scraps and a few things I might use as focal points. Some Tim Holtz paper dolls, one of my paper dolls. This one's from Miles Beyond the Moon. Another piece of fabric that was hanging about from Mary Ellen, I think. I love it. I've been hoarding it. But it could go really pretty on there, to be honest. With some kind of a little focal point, maybe. Kitty cat, no. Perhaps this boy, we'll see. That kind of works actually. Although I also quite like this. This is an old, like a vintage twill tape label. And I was thinking about maybe just tearing off these sides and putting it on here too. I don't want to cover up too much of those flowers though. I struggle covering things up so much. But you got to be smart about the way you do things, right? Yeah, that's really cute. I like that. So then I just grabbed this little piece of ledger, like just little scrappy bits, right? So I'll put that there. And then I'll open up my ephemera book. Which is right now very bottom heavy. We'll just look in here and see what I might be able to use. Got some mushrooms. That's cool. I think that's like a little envelope. Yeah, it is. Does it need to be used as an envelope though? No, not necessarily. We could do something else with it, but got some bits that I've stamped in here too. From stamps that I have. A little tag. Let's pull some of these bits out. These are like that could be cute with that. The Storyland of Stars. Well, that's pretty perfect. Okay, so that's what I'll take out of those. And then I have this little stamped thistle. That's kind of cool. It could go on there. That's probably good for little bits. I think it's mostly just that I need a focal point now. So I'll put this away for a moment so it's out of the way. There we go. Okay, so that one is ready to get glued, but now we have to find, I don't think I want to use these focal points. I think they're just not right for this, but I will use Tim Holtz bits, I think. Now these girls here kind of look like they could be in a garden here. So I'll put them on here and see how they fit. I think I'll put this behind. I want it to poke out a little bit. Okay, and then this little London Parks and Gardens and the Honourable Mrs. Evelyn Cecil with illustrations by Lady Victoria Manners. I don't know what that's from, but it's kind of cool. I don't want to cover that umbrella, I don't think, but maybe. Make it a little smaller. Yeah, I like that. Okay. So that's those two. Now we need to sort this out. Now this is just a really big set of people. So I think what I'm going to do, and I've done this before, is I think I might trim them down. You can still do this quite sensibly. You don't, need all of them on these pieces sometimes. So I think what I will do here is put this here, possibly this way. It's funny, I don't often work horizontal. I often work like this way. It's kind of weird. Okay, something else needs to go on there because I feel like there's a clash of things. No. I just want to make this a bit smaller because I don't want to cover up their hands. That's cute. Yeah, I like that. Okay. Then some kind of a word maybe there. We'll see. So now I just need to glue all of these things down. So I'll go ahead and do that. Start with the orange one. Pick up these babies. Flip that over and I'll use a little bit of 3-in-1, I guess. I think I have a new bottle over there that I can probably grab if this takes forever. That's not too bad. Okay. So just go around the edge of this with Fabri-Tac or 3-in-1. Get that up as high as possible there. And I'll use art glitter glue on the other bits. I think that would be good. Always feels great to use up stuff that you're like, I have way too much of this. Okay, that's cute. Now, this one. These I'm just going to use art glitter glue. Art glitter glue does stick paper to fabric. It's just in heavy or chipboard. No, not chipboard, but like heavier applications of fabric. You're going to want to use Fabri-Tac or 3-in-1, like a beacon adhesive, or something similar. I find fabric to fabric, I like to use it. Although sometimes in like lighter weights, I also use my glue stick, because the glue stick that I use, it really holds fabric. It's remarkable. I don't have a whole lot of gluing drama though. I feel like I've figured out what my glues that I want to use are, like, again and again. I really like the glue sticks that I use. I get them from my husband. He does industrial supply, so I'm able to get those. And then I like to use art glitter glue and 3-in-1 or Fabri-Tac. They're interchangeable. To me, I sense literally no difference. They're both from Beacon Adhesives, and I don't think there's any difference in the formulation, really. Like, I haven't looked at the ingredients list, but I really don't sense any difference. After using them for a few years, they really seem the same. They flow the same. They thicken the same. But I know a lot of people don't use art glitter glue because of the price, and I totally get that. It is a pricier glue, but what I can say, oh, that's a sticker. I can say that it lasts me quite a while. And if you watch this channel, you know I use it quite frequently, but using it in this pin bottle, like, it just doesn't really get used up all that quickly. There we go. One more to go here. Wait a second. Did you guys see that? Did you see me doing this? And you were like, shh, don't tell her. She's not going to notice. Where is the correct one? Here it is. See how distracted I get? Oh my gosh. I'm like thinking about glue science and putting the wrong piece on here. I think I just was like, oh, it's a sticker. And then I just was like, I don't know. Mary Ellen has a really good term for, like, when you go into autopilot mode in videos sometimes, and it's hard to explain this if you don't make videos, but it totally happens. And I'd love to hear from other creators if you experience this sometimes. Mary Ellen, I think, calls it presenteeism. So it's about, like, are you present in the video, or are you kind of entering this, like, you know, mode, right? Like a mode, I think, can happen for a few different reasons. One, you just get so into your craft that you're like not really thinking or understanding what's coming out of your mouth. And that one's maybe a little noticeable in one way. But then the other one is kind of like what just happened to me, which is like I get too into the conversation, or like too into my head about what I'm thinking about, or I get distracted by like something either in my house or some other craft supply that's on my desk, and I start doing things incorrectly. It's really weird. And it only really happens when you're making a video, because I think it's just that extra like level of your brain knows that there's something going on. I don't know. It's interesting. But yeah, we got to put this in the right spot. And I know that the other label has fallen off my desk somewhere, the little piece I cut off that, but I'm okay with that. I don't need it. So I think I want to put some words on here, maybe. Storyland of Stars. This is where you go. On the starry background. There it is. I'll grab it. Oops. Okay. And I know I was going to put it behind there, but that's fine too. Okay. Let's see if we can't find some words to kind of give at least one of these a nice little finish. That one doesn't really work. Nearly time for sunset. That could work on here nicely because like there's lots of orange going on. Every thistle in sight as far as the eye could see, thousands upon thousands. Oh, there's a thistle on there. That's kind of perfect. So let's do that with that. And then the one that I really wanted to have words is that one actually. A great wind sometime in the past. No. Jelly beans and had candy cane pillars. New calendars and road books. Autumnal rambles. No. It's funny whenever I'm looking for something, you know, that's like celestial, I can't find it. But then when I'm looking for nature-y type things or weird kind of words, all I find are celestial type things because I cut out so much of that kind of thing. It's just, I don't know, it gets me every time. Fairies and gnomes are very strange people. Little mushroom house. Botanical. Most fearful incantations. Little white stones. Every night after dark. That one works. Okay. Put these words away. We got to put jelly beans away here. We're not using that one today. I think I'll put this down here actually. Nearly time for sunset. Now this one, I think I might cut it into bits because I don't know, is that, actually I can probably make that work. Yeah, I can make that work. It's kind of the perfect size for there. Yeah, good. And then I'm definitely going to pop a little ink on there. That's better. Here too. Okay. So these are our 4 pieces that we made for today for using up scraps. And I know there's a little glare there. Let me hold this one up so you can see it a little better. I'm really happy with these. I think they turned out very cute and I know that they're going to be super useful. So that's my using up all of the too much stuff for today. So I'll see you tomorrow for more mayhem. Bye for now.